Welcome back, guys. It's Kibler from the Brothers Geek Out podcast, and this is a Geek Out session with the wonderful, talented. Your catalog is massive. Martin Harris, who has not just been in the recent movie of Superman, but you're X-Men '97 voice acting as well. He's an art collector. We got so much to talk about, even mental health as well, which is amazing. So, Martin, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. When we did get the message, and like, it's amazing at the moment now that we as pop culture fans are able to connect with people that are in the industry. It's been a massive opportunity. So I want to give you your flowers because you've done loads of stuff. Oh my God, Stranger Things. It's all the stuff that I love. But you've done other things in your journey as well. I mean, you've been in it probably for longer than I know, but how has your journey been in this industry?
Yeah, it's strange because it's my fourth career in my life. I started as I thought I'm gonna be a scientist because my half of my family is, and my father is. So I was
Wow.
winning all the competitions in history since I was like 5 years old, and then I
Wow.
rebelled and I started a heavy metal band. And
Nice.
from having a heavy metal band that dismantled, I became a music journalist, and I was doing that for 5 6 years. Then successfully. Then I switched to sports journalism, wrote 2 books about basketball. I was publishing in like probably published in like 40 different countries. And then at the age of 30, I decided that I'm kind of burned out. I don't have anything else to. It just doesn't give me any pleasure anymore. And I wanted to go back to create arts, and maybe not as music, but maybe I'll try acting. So after conversation with Kobe Bryant back in 2007, he told me to follow my
Wow.
heart,
Wow.
and I did, and I moved to LA. It's been a roller coaster. First couple of years, of course, it was learning the craft and first share of disappointments. Then I jumped into stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
which translates into mental health stuff and seeing people in all kinds of with all kinds of problems, but also a lot of talent, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of joyful moments, some sad moments too. And then
Mm.
that allowed me to get my first manager, first agent, and that allowed me to get on TV. And then my
Nice.
path continued from, I would say, 2020 till this point, doing projects that I'm very passionate about. It's interesting that for whatever reasons, I audition a lot, and a lot of times I don't get the parts, but whenever I really want something very, very bad, I do get that.
That's
So
amazing.
it's like a lot of projects that are not that great. I didn't get the parts, but the projects I really, really wanted to be on, I somehow ended up doing.
That's amazing. I suppose that's where what Kobe said was, follow your heart, passion, and what
Yeah,
will
yeah.
come out. I think it feels like when you go for a role, you put that passion in, don't you? So somebody can connect to it and feel it. And I think as a creative, it's art form that only some few of us can do properly, where you can connect with an audience or connect with a director or casting agent to take that part. Uh, this leads us into Superman, which you didn't know it was Superman.
No, I didn't know.
You
It was called Genesis when I auditioned for it. And funny enough, and that also kind of is a lesson for me that I have to keep reminding myself that sometimes, because we all have tendencies to really go for it and just prepare and work hard, and there's sometimes you just keep it simple. Like I
mm,
remember I went to tape for a guest star on a TV show to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. So we have like 30-minute slots
mhm.
when you book the room, and you're lucky enough to book the room, and they have a camera and their reader, and you get a good tape. So I went there to record for a guest star on a TV show, and I was about 28 minutes in, and I had like 2 minutes left, and I'm like, you know what, I have another audition. It's pretty short. I'm just gonna do it like 1 2 takes. Do we have enough time? They said sure, we have 2 minutes. So I taped it, went back home, and I'm like, oh, both takes are actually pretty good. Submit it. And then 3 weeks later, I found out that I booked Superman, and out of like just 2 minutes, 2 minutes of taping, where sometimes people, I have friends and I stopped doing that because for my own mental health reasons. I had people asking me to help them do a self tape, and then I'm stuck for like 5 hours and with someone in their apartment, and they're going over it for like 40, 50 times, and I'm like, gee, just leave me alone. I want to go home. Stop this. Of course, I don't say it out loud, but in my head, I say
No, of
that. I'm
course.
like, oh my goodness, what I got myself into, you know? And
That
yeah, that so
it's a
yes,
process.
it's a process. But I learned, and I of course it's a repeating mistake that every actor does. It's good to prepare, but sometimes you just go with your instincts, and it is what it is. You can't think like, because a lot of times actors are being trapped in that thinking like, do they want this, or maybe what they want that, or maybe they're looking for this, or maybe they're looking for that angle. No,
Mm.
you just make a choice, you go for it. They like it, great. They don't like it, next one. It is what it is.
I think that's quite, I mean, it's quite difficult as human beings as well, because you talk about rejection in those moments as well,
Hmm.
when you send out tapes, when you do castings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an immense pressure that I think we all as creators put on top of ourselves. I am still a working comic book artist that still is not in the industry, but I do for independent companies instead of the mainstream companies, but always have the dream to, yeah, one day I will do a Superman cover or,
Did you ever go to Comic-Con in San Diego?
no, so it's still on my wish list to go to.
I went this year for the first time in my life, and I was shocked. I didn't expect any of that. I
Wow.
thought it's more like a show business event, but no, this is for like comic book people, for comic
Yeah.
book lovers. The true
Yeah.
stars of Comic Con are the people who draw, the people
Yes.
who do the actual comics, and those are the celebrities there.
That's
And
right.
that's
That's right.
very
That's right.
refreshing to see, like a different perspective on the whole industry. And some of the comics I saw being sold at Comic-Con were for like $500,000
Yeah.
per copy.
Oh
I
yes. Oh
got I got
yes.
one I show you.
Yeah. Yeah. Please do.
I got one. So this is like the booklet for Comic-Con. But then I
Yes.
got one, and I didn't even know it's from like 1968. I got
Oh.
this Superman. So it has like a yellow. You see like yellow
Yeah.
print.
Yeah. 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 That's right.
Is
That's
that
right.
all? It was only $10, and because it was Louis Lane and Superman, and then it's really fun story. Then you have the Lex Luthor, who is actually bald. So
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick that one. I'm gonna take it home.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Comic Cons are amazing. It's been uh what would I call it? Because I get to meet all of the artists and writers and the creators that put their time and effort into these characters.
Mhm.
I absolutely love Comic Con. San Diego and New York Comic Con is on our list to go to, just to go enjoy. But it is one of those places where you could really, like, as you said, it's something different for the creators, for the people that do this work, the artists and the writers, because uh, and I feel like we've come to a point in my lifetime now where we can appreciate those things and be able to speak to the writers. Because 30 years ago, I would never thought, actually 40 years ago, when I watched Back to the Future, that on the 30th anniversary, I get to meet Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
Wow.
Like, that's the reality we're in now because of Comic Cons and things like that. Uh, so it's kind of surreal that we can inspire others to go say thank you to the creatives and thank you for to be in this role and stuff like that. So that must have been an experience for yourself as a first time goer, definitely.
Yeah,
And
that was a lot of fun, and people from DC showed me a lot of love. They put me on a live stream playing
oh, nice.
Fortnite. So yeah, they were very very nice to me, and I met a bunch of people who watched Superman, and those were very nice interactions I had in San Diego
It,
for the whole time. Yeah.
that's amazing. So in Superman, you play this a Boravian general. What was that like
Mhm.
on set?
It was interesting because James has this gift, very rare gift of keeping things very joyful, very relaxed, very almost like a kind of party-like environment
Okay.
where everybody's super relaxed, and we of course we focus on our characters, and we do the scenes, but there's no extra pressure, there's no extra tension.
Mm.
There's no like waiting around forever, for your turn. Like we did talk with his assistant prior to me coming to Atlanta and shooting, so I already knew what I'm gonna do, and then I just go prepared and I do it. And he was moving very very fast, and he was very on point with everything he was suggesting. Like for example, when I opened the door, don't
Mm.
look don't look at him, look into the floor. That is
Okay,
also telling me who this guy is. That he's following the president out of fear in a way as well, as his right hand and the head of the army. That because we're in the war, we're starting the war, and then I
that's
have to
right.
deal with metahumans and all that crap. So I'm a pretty scared general in overall, I would say. But that's also interesting. You see, like getting those layers from the director, and I made a bold choice. Like I told you before, I made a bold choice to play this general
Hmm.
that way instead of probably 90% of actors auditioning for that role played him like a strong, tough guy. I
That's right.
decided
That's right.
no, since the president is from fictional Eastern European like type of a country. I'm gonna play him scared because those people, the dictators, they're not gonna have a tough general. They're gonna have a general who listens to him and obeys him 100% of
That's
the
right.
time.
That's right.
So in this case, making bold choice was rewarded me with getting the part.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Did you know that at the point where wh- when he was giving the directions to you, you were like, okay, I know how I'm going to play this character and how I'm going to portray him. Is that something that is kind of you've already got while you because you would only get a part of the script, right?
I didn't get the full script. Yeah, I didn't
Oh
get the full
wow, yeah,
scripts. I was
yeah.
supposed to be only in two scenes at the beginning, and they added me. I think the third one and fourth one like a week prior or like a couple of days before filming, and then they added me to the press conferences on the day of filming. Although he considered that before, and then he made a decision to add me to those scenes on the
Okay,
day, and it was communicated to me. So I went to set and I participated in that. And yeah, I made a choice, in the audition process to play him that way, but then his suggestions uh, suggested it even more. But then,
okay,
for example, when there's this phone call from Lex Luthor people and we attacked for the second time, then he said something like, now you be like very serious. This is a
okay.
very serious moment. So I'm being very serious. Where I'm after the press conference when we were going to him meeting Lex Luthor, it's more goofy. When I say that he looks very handsome and all that.
That's
And then
right.
of course it's scared because of what is happening when Justin Gang show up and destroyed my army.
Hmm. That's when it gets serious.
Yeah.
That must
Then
have
it's a
been
full
like,
blown panic, and I'm panicky. I'm panicking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why I play the character. I think I even over panic on the first couple of takes. They had to tone it down
Okay.
because I was like out of breath. That's how I played it, in my first couple of takes. But then I kind of found the I would say the golden middle point between being still kind of strong and in a full blown panic.
No, that's amazing. I mean, what's it like to be like? It's crazy because as a kid, for me, because when we met James Gunn, we met him when he first previewed it in the UK,
Mhm.
and
So that was like 3 weeks before the premiere, right?
that's right, yeah. So we were like one of the first people to see it, which was an
Oh
insane
no, no, no.
moment
That
for of
was
us.
that was July 2nd, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yes, July
July
2nd. Yes,
2nd.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So I think yeah, it was about 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks before it came out, and it was a surreal moment for me as a fan of Superman to be there because I grew up on Christopher Reeve Superman. I mean,
Hmm.
for you to be in a movie like this, which has had some high praises, box office, reviews, fans, people who are not fans who love the message that the movie gave. I mean, what was it like for you to be a part of the Superman mythology now?
Dream come true, and a little bit of a curse as well, which I'm gonna explain what I
Okay.
mean by that. Dream come true because Superman was my second favorite all-time character, and it was on my wish list on the second spot, like of
Wow.
the things that I want in my life to be on. It was on my number two. Number one is James Bond. That's
Okay,
my number
cool.
one.
Nice.
So
Okay, very
that was
cool.
my biggest dream. Superman was my second biggest dream. I would say Star Wars probably would be my number three.
Oh,
So that's my like top three. However, during the pandemic, when I was watching all TV that I could possibly watch, I promised myself that within 2 years I'm gonna get on Stranger Things, Better Call Saul, and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I went 3 out of 3. I got on all of them. So hopefully James Bond, and especially James Bond. Star Wars I can live without, but James Bond, that has to happen. So
that's
so it was a dream come true, but occurs in a positive way, because
hmm
after 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 doing Superman, after working with James, after working with Isabella Merced, Zlatko Buric, and being part of such a beautiful, beautiful film, I've turned out a lot of I've turned down a lot of projects.
okay.
It's hard. It raises your levels. It raises your expectations of what you want to do.
hmm
It makes you. It's hard to go from doing Superman to doing, like, let's say, with all due respect, a low budget horror movie.
100%. Okay.
It doesn't feel right. So
No, I
I'm still
understand.
at this phase that, you know what, this is what I would like to do, and if that means sometimes just waiting for months for the next job while doing video games, looping, dubbing,
Mm,
and maybe writing my own script. If that's the case, if I have to work less but keep the quality at least comparable level, I'm okay with that, because after Superman, I can't go back to some stuff that I've done at the beginning of my career. It just wouldn't feel right. I would just feel bad
but
with
that's
myself,
but that
doing.
but Martin, like that's ambition.
Yeah, no, I know, I
That's
know.
desire, and I
Yeah,
feel like there's nothing wrong with that, as you said, because as
no,
a
it just limits your options. It just limits your
that's right,
options.
that's
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
that's right. But no, I'm glad that you could be open about that, because I think that's very difficult for any person
it
to
is.
say. Like, as a father, I was working in marketing for 20 years, and I was thinking of taking a step back to go into a smaller role. But then I said, I can't do that to myself, and I can't do that for my kids. So what do I do? And then I went self-employed, and which is even harder. I have to find my own checks. But it's more of an. I think it's admirable that you can see that, because some people don't see that. It ends up becoming greed, and you just want to do more and more and more, and you're able to pick your projects that you want to work on. And as you said, if you're willing to wait, you're willing to wait, which is amazing. But dreams come true. I just want to let the listeners know he had a goal list of things to do. He got his number two. He's still waiting for James Bond, which, you know what? I'm gonna pray for you, dude, because I think I will
Please,
see you.
please.
I will see you in James Bond, because that's amazing. It's one thing that I like to tell the listeners or anybody who's watching online, that things can happen. Like, and if you write a list, I think you can manifest that list as well. And I think the fact that you already had it on there, and it's your number two character, and you'd love to do something with Superman, and that it came along. I believe James Gunn, and because I'm a Star Wars fan as well. Star Wars will happen.
Yes, that would be great. And I'll tell you something, and it's also important that people understand that. And I keep reminding myself that every day. I'm much better with that. Right now, I think I'm a pretty good point with that. But I'll tell you something. When I made because I was a pretty well established journalist, sports
Yes, you
journalist.
are.
I even worked in England. I was writing a lot for 442 magazine, which is a very big soccer magazine, for like almost 20 years. I wrote for BBC Sports.
Yes.
I had a very successful career. So a lot of people were jealous of me having that career in my 20s, especially my old country, home country, Poland.
Mm.
So when I decided to go after acting in my 30s, there was a lot of like laughing at me, like, this guy thinks he's gonna be an actor, he lost his mind, he's not serious, he's a joke. And very often, like, luckily my drive was more than my fear.
Yes.
My drive was bigger than my fear, or my insecurities, or my me caring about what other people say. It did cost me some sad moments, I would say, but the key is, when you make a decision that you really want to do something, it doesn't matter what those people are saying. And I want to
Exactly.
tell everybody who's listening, because that's a mental health problem, feeling judgment, feeling pressure of society, people saying negative stuff about you. Well, now it's easier than ever because people go online and just hating for the whole day. Some people like to do that, just hate, 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 hate. And you know what? Do you think it comes from them being secure about their life and themselves? No, it's because they failed and they want you to fail.
Mm.
But you don't let them. You let them be in their own world. You do your
That's right.
thing.
I think that's very important, very important, very important, and which kind of moves into the mental health aspects of things
Yeah.
because most of the listeners, when they do ask questions, and they do ask questions for any of the guests that
Hmm.
come on, is that how do you juggle the amount of things you do? Because I just recently found out as well, 13 languages, art collector, actor. Oh my God, there's a big list. Like, how are you able to manage that mentally when it comes to, oh my God, there's this art piece that I want to get, but then I've got to read this script to do something else. Like, how do you manage your health in that sort of sense?
Better than I used to.
Yeah.
As an artist, we're sensitive. And sometimes it could be helpful. Sometimes it could be hurtful. I had
Mm,
my breaking point. Around 2016, 2017, when I was still doing too many things. I would run the biggest show at the Comedy Store, the biggest comedy club in Los Angeles. I started auditioning, started booking my first roles. I would still work as a sports writer part-time, and I wrote 2 books about basketball that I published in Poland. I would work full-time for NBC Universal, and I was writing my scripts for a TV show that I wanted to pitch. And at some point, I just run myself to the it's just I just burned out completely,
mm,
and I couldn't sleep at night, and I said, like panic attacks and everything. I just ran myself to the ground, and then I started, meditating a little bit, went back to church, which I
mm,
haven't gone for a long time, and started, thinking about the mental health aspect, and mental hygiene.
mm.
Meditation with this guy that I found on Instagram, Master Co, helped me a lot. Going to church every Sunday helps me as well. And also, unfortunately, because being in the stand-up comedy kind of changed my career in a lot of ways.
Mm.
I was running show at the Comedy Store for 3 years, hosted it, met some of the best comics, including Joe Rogan, Tia Vaughn, John Apatow, Ian Edwards, all
Wow.
the big ones. Jimmy Carr, he was in my shows. Bunch of like British top British comics as well. So it was very exciting. It was extremely stressful because I was responsible for the whole production. I was a one-man show, one-man production crew,
Wow.
host, and everything. So at some point when the show got popular, I had hundreds of comics reaching out to me, sometimes with threats if I
Wow.
don't put them on the show. And I also found out that a lot of people struggle with mental health. And unfortunately, in those 3.5 years of me being at a Comedy Store, 17 of comics I ran into took their own lives.
Oh man. Sorry to hear that.
And
That's horrible.
one of them, it hit me very hard. I still remember that moment. And
Mm,
that's when I quit stand-up comedy. Now I'm gonna get back to stand-up comedy because I'm at mental strength that allows me to see the bright side of it.
of course.
But back in 2019, I remember I booked my first major film called The Hunt. I
Okay.
did the whole day of shooting, and that was and it went amazing. Craig Zobel was the director who directed The Penguin and Mayor of Easttown after that.
Yes, that's right.
Uh, so I went to my trailer super happy, and then I opened my phone and I found out that Brody Stevens, who was my very good friend, a comedian, and everybody knew that he's struggling.
Mm.
He hanged himself that
Wow.
day. So and that ruined everything for me. It was really hard. That was
Mm.
a really hard moment for me, to realize that how many people told me about their problems. And at the very end of my time at the Comedy Store, I established a foundation that
Mm.
provided comics with um, there was a show. Russell Peters headlined the show. I hosted it, and then we found a fund, and we found a foundation so comics could reach out and have their therapy paid for
Oh, that's
in full, in
amazing.
full.
Okay, that's
But you see,
amazing.
the problem was in 6 months, only one comic asked for help. and they
Oh.
just decided not to continue. And that was also difficult for me because people needed it, and
Mm.
they didn't ask for help. They were scared to admit that they had a problem,
I
and
think
they some of them took their own lives, and that was hard for me too.
that must have been because we went as a society, we're not taught to reach out.
Yeah.
Uh, we've never been taught, and I'm coming from a culture and army background where my grandfather was in the Second World War, based in Burma for the
Hmm.
British Rajasthan, and he didn't really talk about his PTSD, and before I was a teenager, he had passed, but I could see what he had reflected on my father. My father had this really regiment, stern, feel men don't cry, blah 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 sort of mentality until COVID happened, until he actually broke down in front of me and said that he was sorry and that he was proud, and it took him a long time to get to that point. Basically, my brother had come from Singapore. My younger brother had come from, he's a driving instructor, had caught COVID from the examination center and then brought it home. I found out later on that everybody in the house has got COVID. I panicked and I said, all right, I'll take dad to get tested. And that was the time in the moment in the car when he told me, he actually gave me, because it was a massive queue for us to get tested, was the moment because fear was put into us regarding COVID and what it would do. Uh, he just broke down. He told me everything, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I don't even know how to react to this. And he's much more open now, which is absolutely amazing with all of us, my brothers and sisters, which is amazing because it's not something that I grew up with, and I found it very hard to tell him that I've got two kids now, and I'm struggling. I'm finding it very hard at times sometimes, and I don't know what to ask you because I'm scared to ask you questions. But now we have this open relationship, which was, I know people had gone through a lot through COVID, but that gave me the opportunity to get closer to my father and find out about my granddad as well and what he had gone through for him to be that strict. But I think it's generational, like post PTSD that is sent down to the rest of us, and I think we don't talk about it a lot more. And I'm sorry that you've had to lose friends in the process of that. So my
Yeah,
condolences
yeah,
there.
and people I just knew. I wouldn't say like friends, but people also you see on a weekly basis, daily basis, and then you find out that they've been dealing with something, and you wouldn't tell that they did, and then you find out,
Mm,
and that's shocking, when that happens. And there's also, it's not only the suicide part, but also a lot of people do drugs or like are abusing alcohol every day, and that's
mm.
also like partially killing yourself in a way, especially with
Yes.
drugs. And I've seen a lot of that in show business, unfortunately.
Mm.
People. I've seen people overdosing and dying in comedy world a lot.
Oh my God.
The
Yeah.
comedy world is, we see the fun, but there's a lot of pressure. Most of those people don't make any money.
Mm.
There's a lot of bullying. There are
Mm.
some creepy people in this world too, and there is also a lot of fun and humor and friendships. The comedy world is fascinating. I wish someone does a documentary that really talks about it as a whole, because the image that we have is just this goofy part, but we don't
The
see
hardships.
all colors of it. And the comedy scene as a whole, there's a lot of beautiful elements in it, but there's also a lot of tragic elements. It is like a full spectrum of life, pretty much
Mm.
closed in this one very, very strange community. Very, very
Martin,
strange community.
Martin, I think
Yeah.
we have a script for you.
Yeah, maybe I
We
should.
have a
Yeah.
script for
That
you.
would offend that would offend a lot of people, but that's okay. That's fine. Because
It's
then we can
scared to
talk
offend
also about
people.
politics. Now
Yes, that's right.
comedians, they have so much power through social media that they like technically elect presidents in those days, so that's what happens too.
Crazy. It's insane. It's a
Yeah.
it's a really weird world, kind of a weirdish world that we're in at the moment now, where social media has come to a point now where, as you said, it can elect presidents and the rest of it, but then sway you in different directions. Like, I grew up as a kid in the 80s and the 90s watching stuff on TV, to now you are bombarded with so
Yeah.
much that it's very difficult because with current situations, it's very difficult on which You know, it's confused a lot of people in the process, I think. And I
You have to
think,
be very careful to navigate those waters because it's very easy to get lost, get depressed. Like now the mental health problem is more than ever, I would say, because of a number of stimulants, number of disinformation, the pressures of social media,
mm,
Instagram, Facebook, people posting photos, and like when you're a girl, when you're a young girl, 18-year-old girl, and you see the photos of, photoshopped photos of your friends. Oh, she's prettier than me. She's living better life
it's
than me. It's
so
and we live in
dangerous.
this bubble, and it's just very dangerous, very, very dangerous.
No, I always tell my listeners like that's all that's the good memories and the fake stuff that you see, but you don't see what's happening behind there. I always tell, and I always speak about it on my platform because I want people to know that it's not an easy graft. Like there is hard work, there is loads of things, and people only put up the good stuff, but they don't put up the bad stuff and what they're going through. And I've been really vocal about that, and I hope I could inspire you to write that script and talk more about it because I think that would be an amazing documentary. It's something like I think recently I saw the Robin Williams documentary, and then you had the Christopher Reeves one that came out. Like there's things that you learn about people that you just didn't know. Like as I grew up as a Superman fan, I didn't know Christopher Reeves. Like I knew he was best friends with Robin. I didn't know how close they were. And then Robin going through what he had gone through, I was like, you know, the most the most jolliest, happiest guy that I've ever seen in the world to make everybody else laugh, yet he was suffering by himself. It's heartbreaking, absolutely
Yeah,
heartbreaking, absolutely
Anthony
heartbreaking.
Bourdain, Anthony Bourdain,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
right. So it's like, uh, anyway, I really hope I could inspire you to create that documentary. That's pretty cool. Uh, it's quite emotional because I feel like, for me personally, and to see what some of my friends have gone through, and it's a hard part of trying to find your way. And as you did, you went from being a journalist uh, to going into acting, and you were thriving in that industry as well. And now you've come to a point where you feel like I can choose my projects now, which is absolutely, you should be super proud of that, man. You should be super proud. But I know there must be some times where you feel like, oh, is this good or bad? Is this, as you said, the curse of making those decisions? How's that been mentally for yourself?
Yeah, you have to keep reminding yourself that not to overthink it, not
Mm,
to appreciate more what the good stuff instead of
mm,
not thinking, and it's hard, like I make those mistakes all the time, like the way I've been raised too. It's more like what's next, what's next, what's next. When
yeah,
sometimes you just through the meditation, I learn how to appreciate things that happen, the positive things, and not always expecting more at the every second of your life. It's
that's
good
right.
to be to be ambitious. It's good to try to improve things, but it's also you cannot disregard the good stuff and take it into a perspective because then you'll be always unhappy and always chasing, right? And that's the dangerous part when you feel like you always have to chase something because there will be a moment where there's nothing left to chase, and then a lot of people lose purpose in life when they don't
Mm,
feel like they can chase. Like I'll give you an example. Like talked to this actor X, right? Very successful actor
mm,
comedian, and he got to the point of where he's like, if I die today and there will be my grave somewhere in 50 years from now, nobody will remember me. I'll be just some grave in the field, and that thought paralyzes me and makes me extremely depressed
ooh, ouch.
because he would like to be like the greatest ever or the legendary, but that's not really important in my opinion, really, at all.
Mm,
You see, and if you tangle yourself into this thing, comparing yourself to other people, comparing your journey to other journeys, how much money you have comparing to other people's money. That's more like the business people. They like to compare. Oh, do I have more money than this guy, or do I have less money than this guy? when you start doing that, maybe in sports it works, maybe in professional sports it works, where you kind of, yeah, how many titles, you won or what, but that it will never make you happy thinking like that. It will
No,
never make you happy.
100%.
So you have to
No,
enjoy the process, because otherwise you set yourself up for unhappiness, for being depressed.
100%. 100%. Oh, that's such a tough way of trying to live like that, because you're so far ahead. Like, even in business, they teach you, make your money, move on to the next thing. Make your money, move on to the next thing. It's not a stagnant. If you go back 20 years ago, people are thinking about keeping their businesses for long-term reasons, where now everything seems to be rush, legacy, and the rest of it. And I find that quite difficult. I think mentally that can really take you away from being present as well. Like I've been like, since having my kids, I realized what is the importance of being present, like being with them. That's my meditation, is that I'm there with them. Enjoy that moment. I don't know how long I've got left here, so enjoy that. Like good memories, good things for them to take along with them. Then maybe they maybe think about you in 100 years' time in the next generation. But
It doesn't matter.
exactly, exactly. Uh, James Bond, you brought that up, and it's been playing on my head right now.
Yeah.
Uh, so what is it about James Bond that you want to be in?
I grew up watching those films. As a kid, I remember my first dates would be inviting girls to watch James Bond movies with me, and my parents' apartment when they went for vacation. I was just such a big fan of Roger Moore's James Bond
Yes.
movies, and then my number two is Connery.
Mm,
Number three, Timothy Dalton, probably. And I
okay.
know it's not an obvious choice, um, but then I would say from the 90s on, I like those James Bond movies a little bit less, with one
Mm,
exception of Casino Royale. I wasn't a huge fan of Pierce Brosnan's James Bond, although all of them I like more or less. Like maybe
okay.
the last one I didn't like it that much. So I'm glad that's not the one I was on. That I still have a clean slate. Well, even recently I started rewatching those films, and some of them I've watched at least 50 times. Live and
Mm.
Let Die,
Oh,
Goldfinger,
good
Men
film.
with the Golden Gun. I've watched it at least 50 times. At least 50
Timothy,
times.
it's funny that you picked Timothy Dalton, because that was the era that I kind of grew up in. So that was the first time I saw Bond before I went to before I saw like Roger Moore and Sean Connery. So Timothy Dalton and then Pierce Brosnan, and I was like, oh, Dad, there's a whole collection. He was like, yeah, you got to see these ones first. So that's when I
Very
went for it.
underrated Bond, although he was a little bit too animated, maybe, could be a little bit more stoic in some moments, but very underrated Bond. And those movies are just very good. Both of them, The
Yeah.
Living Daylights and License to Kill, they have a very good storyline. I love the villains in both of them, especially in the License to Kill. Both Benicio del Toro and Robert Davi were my favorite villains of all time. And it's funny now. Robert Davi is doing a lot of like low budget films, and he was such a great actor. It's sometimes you listen. Like everybody has their different philosophy of approaching. I'm not
No,
here to
no,
judge anybody.
of course.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
not
no, of
here to
course,
judge
of
anybody.
course. No,
But
no,
I
no,
was
exactly.
surprised seeing that Robert Davi, who's my favorite James Bond villain of all time, is now doing a lot of like low budget films for last
Mm.
decade. Yeah.
Oh, it's a difficult one, because, as you said, this industry is a very tough industry as well. And once
Hmm.
you get to a point where it's like, what do I do next? And the rest of it is almost like payslip. It's you separate art and payslip. It becomes something like that. I feel like, because there's jobs I have to do, and it's like, oh my god, this is for the payslip, and the creative process of artwork changes completely, because recently I directed a music video. They wanted my style of 90s and sort of 80s era of hip hop. So I
Hmm.
gave them that, but then suddenly it turned into, ooh, could we not have that and change it to having it a bit more now time? And I'm like, oh, there was a reason why you got me as a director, was that you wanted me to create something, because I'm a nostalgia guy. So I love everything about the 80s and 90s when it
Same.
came to that culture of movie making and hip hop. Uh, I grew up with. So I can give you that style. That's what you hired me for. And then they were like asking to clean up the footage, and then it was like, oh my god, this has become a payslip. It went from being a passion project to a payslip, where it came to a point where I was like, guys, like, here's the footage. I'm not. I have to kind of just cut there because it's very difficult for me to go back on what I envisioned when I heard the song, when I did the storyboards, to now I'm doing something totally different. And it was like, here's the footage. I'm happy to let this one go. But there have been times, but so I think that's the process of our journeys, I suppose, when it comes to picking and choosing is very difficult. And I think the industry, I think it's a bit. I personally think as a fan, I'm starting to see like oversaturation. But then I completely forget we had COVID, we had the strikes, the writer strikes, the SAG strikes, and realized that, oh my god, there's a reason why I feel overwhelmed with the amount of movies and TV shows that are coming out at the moment now, because it felt like it was too much. I don't know what that was like on your side because you work on that side of the industry, but do
I
you
loved
feel
it,
like,
because suddenly I had a lot of opportunities, which last 2 years they shrank in United States because, a lot of production has left the United States. So
that's right, yeah,
yeah,
that's tough. That's very tough. That's very tough. But as I said, I still want to inspire you on that script. But what? So in Bond, would you would play a villain
yeah. I
or
mean, it's funny that the thing I did on Superman was very James Bond-esque in a way, like
yeah,
the sidekick to the villain. I would love to be that guy because those are like some of the most iconic characters in James Bond movies history.
yes,
The Jaws,
odd job,
the Benicio del Toro's character on
yeah.
the License to Kill. Like you remember those characters. Those are really great characters. I would love to be like a sidekick to a villain or a villain.
That's amazing. That'd be amazing.
I
I'm
would
gonna
love to.
keep you in my prayers, dude. That would be
Please,
amazing to see.
please.
And then
That
when
would
that
be like
happens,
what when that happens, I can retire.
that'd be a full circle moment. I'll be like, come back on the show. You ended up doing it. Like,
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
absolutely amazing. But to kind of just finish up on things, 13 languages, dude.
Hmm.
How did you like put the time in for that? 13 languages. That's very
As a
impressive,
matter of
dude.
fact, I can do more. I can do more. I'm working
Oh,
on something right now. I do Slovak, which was not on my initial list, but it's similar to Czech and it's not that far from Polish. So I do like
okay.
those languages I can pull off easily. In Superman it was Croatian.
Yes,
I'm learning Spanish right now. I'm making nice progress with my Spanish. So yeah, I mean I think that's one of my selling points, is that I can do those international characters, and I think I wanted to explore it even more moving forward.
yeah.
And play those roles where I can speak a different language because it's fun. It's almost like a
That's amazing.
character within a character.
No, no, exactly. That's amazing. That's amazing. You taking the time to put the effort into the languages. Why not expand on what you can do in that part of the world as well, which is absolutely amazing. Martin,
I
I
still want to learn French. It's on my list. Like probably next year
okay.
I'll start working on French.
That's absolutely amazing. That's amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you in more projects. You said you're currently working on something, but you probably got loads of NDAs that you probably signed,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
can't give away anything.
yeah.
But Martin's working. He's working, guys. Uh, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming onto the show and having
Oh,
this
thank you
conversation
for
with us.
having me. It was so much fun.
Like, I really impressed with what you've done. Actually, one more question before we go, because I don't want to
Mhm.
keep you all. X-Men 97, because I saw that on your list. It was a voiceover character that you
Voiceover,
did.
yeah, voiceover.
Was that where it's like where you just quickly go into a booth, do a couple of voices, or did you know much about it before you auditioned for that role?
No, I didn't audition for it. I was actually they brought me to the project directly, with
Okay.
three or four more actors. I think we're on stages, and we did it actually on stages in, was it Warner Brothers?
I
Probably
think
Warner
so,
Brothers
bro.
or Universal. I'm not sure. One of those studios, because
Yeah.
that was the time when I worked a lot on. That was like one of the busiest time I had. That was like September, October 2023 when I did that job. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of different voiceover work. I did in
Yeah.
in new John Wick movie Ballerina. I did the voiceover
Yes.
work. I did a bunch of Call of Duties. I have another game coming out
Nice.
that also I don't know if I can reveal. Maybe it's because I'm one of the characters that is like the added characters. I don't know where they're gonna actually bring him on the game, but it's a
Okay.
very fun character and it's a very big game too. So I like you see like this kind of stuff is different than on camera stuff. Like on camera
Mm.
stuff, after Superman, it's hard for me to take just any other job. With
Definitely
voice,
understood.
I'm still more flexible.
That's good.
I can
That's
do
good.
more.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's amazing. Uh, Man, what a wonderful conversation, Martin. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out and speaking to us. And guys, just to let people know that I have Martin's link for his Instagram down below. Check out his page, really cool. And please follow him on his journey. It's been absolutely amazing. He's a man of many talents. He does so much stuff, and just keep an eye out. But the main thing is that I want everybody to take from here, and about Martin's journey as well, is that if you do dream it and manifest it, you'll be able to do the things you want to do. I think that's really important. That he had a list. I've always been a person who do my studio is full of lists right now of things I want to do, and the fact that you had that list of doing those things, I think when you manifest it, it will happen. It can happen, but it's almost like there's a scene in Lethal Weapon 4 where Danny Glover and Mel Gibson tell each other that we could do this, but they can't fight Jet Li because Jet Li is much more younger and faster. But they kind of will it into existence, and it's something that I've kind of taken on. But I'd love you guys to definitely check out Martin's work and the amazing stuff that he's done. Again, I have links to the mental health links down below in our description as well, guys. And yes, massive thank you. You can catch this episode and all of our episodes on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, and if you want to see our beautiful faces, it is up on YouTube as well. So massive thank you. Martin, thanks again for coming onto the show.
Thank you. All the best.
That's amazing. Okay.